Are you interested in real estate investing but not quite sure where to get started? Do you want to get the know-hows on creating ongoing passive income using the buy and hold strategy? Hi, I'm Janice Bowles, licensed realtor and co-founder of B Premier Ventures, a real estate development and consulting firm where we buy and beautify distressed real estate, renovate it, and resell for profit. With over 15 years of investing experience, B Premier has extensive knowledge in rural land development, fix and flips, and rental acquisitions. B Premier's current portfolio consists of properties within Florida and Virginia. Our firm's services includes investor project consulting, project management, and group coaching. For more information, visit our website at bpremierventures.com and schedule a complimentary discovery session or subscribe to our email list. It's free. Follow me on Instagram at Janice Bowles for additional real estate investing tips. B Premier Ventures, we buy and beautify.
To today's episode of Let's Do It Talk Show. It's your girl, Ladrine Howard Peterson, the CEO and founder of Do It, delivering on ideas and thoughts. And you know what I do in a nutshell, right? I help to turn dreamers into doers, and I do it from two aspects. I do it from the aspect of career development, interview preparation, resume building. You have an issue on your job, I'm your girl. And then I also do it from the aspect of business. If you have some ideas and thoughts and don't know how to bring them into fruition, if you're looking for assistance with a business plan, you have an existing business and you're looking for a marketing strategy or different ways for it to expand, I am your girl. Here at the Let's Do It Talk Show, we were primarily created for entrepreneurs, right? However, we know and you know that entrepreneurs are a complete whole person. So with that, we focus on finances, we focus on faith, we focus on the future, and we focus on family. Today is the episode where we talk about family and relationships, and we are driving in on the relationship aspect. So the title of our show, as well as the subtitle, we're going to be talking about soulmates, soul ties, and side chicks. Yep, you heard it right. Soulmates, soul ties, and side chicks. So you know what I do before I get started into everything, into the actual show. I talk to you and I share information about my weekend. My weekend was wonderful. I had a couple different variations of things going on, but more so, I got a chance to cook again, you know, my cooking chronicles. So the barbecue chicken, the broccoli, and the mashed potatoes, delicious. And then also I got a chance to hang out with my girls. And we went to the Navy Yard waterfront, which is a beautiful, beautiful location. It was my first time eating out, but I went ahead and did it. I told them, so I'm not just saying it here, but I was going to duck them. That whole COVID thing and eating out, I didn't know how it was going to go. It was outside eating, turned out well. Love seeing my girls had a whole gracious of fun. But also, in addition to that, I went to the farmer's market. My mom had me going on a run. She liked to get her fresh greens from there. And y'all, I fell in love. I had was able to pick various different things and then come home and wash them and separate them for my mom and I. So that was a wonderful treat. And then you'll see my picture where I had like God is dope. After being outside, coming back in the house, and I was just laying down and I was thinking about the gracious of God and everything that He's done for me. Pictures that I don't have this weekend, got the chance to participate in two conferences. One was my girl Latoya Palmer. Kudos and congrats to you. You'll see her later on in the month, where she will come on as a guest. And then also to the women of Mount Enon Baptist Church. We had a joyful, great time. It's Women's Month, and we had our Women's Month celebration. Great, great, great time, great entertainment, and all the lightness of that. But then also, you all saw my post. I celebrated my 5-year business anniversary. Do it. Delivering on ideas and thoughts turned 5. It's so amazing that time has passed so swiftly, but all of the things that I have been able to do, all of the people that I have been able to impact, all of the people that I've been able to meet, but more so than anything at all of the things that I've been able to do by the grace of God and know comfortably and confidently that I am walking in my purpose. So I have a little video that'll show doing the commercial, but so blessed for this 5 years and looking for the next 5 years and beyond. So now we're going to jump into the show. The show. Oh, wait a minute. Vote. Make sure that you vote. Make sure you vote. I'll talk about that a little bit on the flip side, but please, 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 please make sure that you go out and vote. If you haven't mailed in your ballot, do so. If you had the opportunity to go during early voting, do that. Otherwise, whatever you do, however you do it, make sure that you vote. Now we can turn to the show. So first up, we have Coach Neek, Shanika McCray, who is a matchmaker and the CEO of Help Me. Shanika, can you give an overview and let everyone know who you are?
I am Shanika McCray, Neek, right? The owner and founder of the Help Me Club, which is a faith-based matchmaking and coaching service based in New York, but we're in a couple of different states. The DMV is another one of the states where we do really, really well at. And I'm here tonight on the show to discuss soulmates, soul ties, and side chicks.
Yes, 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 yes. And then we have my beautiful friend, my Figueroa. That's how you have to say her name. She is no stranger to me and my company of shows. She was on the Let's Do This talk show. Myra, darling, so lovely to see you. Can you give a brief overview and let everyone know who you are?
Hello, everybody. My name is Maida Figueroa Clark. I'm known as the Love Expert. I help professional women who do very well in all areas of their lives learn how to do well in their romantic life, how to date purposefully, intentionally,
You
and
is terrible.
successfully.
You is off the hook.
Okay, I can't hear. So, I'm having a little technical difficulties, producers hearing. I had sound, but we're going to move on with the show. So, Neek, when you text me, when I reached out and said, hey, what do we want to talk about this week? And you said, let's talk about the other woman. And I'm like, you mean like side chicks? And you were like immediately like, yes. So that is what sparked the title of our show. And the title was so on point that I felt like there was no need to have the three sub bullets and subtopics like we normally do. So, can you tell me a little bit about what inspired you to want to talk about that?
So, believe it or not, since I've been coaching and just speaking to people more about relationships, I'm finding that more women are in that second place, that second spot, and it's become normalized. Um,
Mm.
I mean, there's a lot of different ways you could go with this. Um, it's a real issue, and it's something that people say they would never be in. It's a position they would never have, but it happens for several different reasons. It happens sometimes unknowingly, sometimes knowingly. Sometimes it's the preference of the woman, and that's something I actually want to talk about too. It being the preference of a woman to date married men or men who are already involved. So I don't ever recommend being with anybody that's involved. But to me, if you're single, if you're a single man and an unmarried man, you're up for grabs. However, a married man, there's a covenant there, right? So now that's something you don't want to play with, because now it's something that maybe necessarily God didn't put it together because we choose who we want to marry,
Right.
but because you are in the marriage, He's giving it some covering. Um, and I don't know, maybe you and I can have a conversation on this in terms of why do women choose to be with involved men or married men, right? That is a question that's the first question I would ask. And what I find is it's a form of not a form of rejection, if that makes sense. So it's almost as if you went out and you dated the way someone who's looking for something is.
Mm-hmm.
There's always that element of it's not going to work, or he's going to cheat on me anyway. So it's
Right.
almost like you're rejecting yourself before you even get into the game. So that's a reflection of you and your fears, right? Because you expect it to happen already. So let me just be with this guy. I already know what he has going on. Generally, married men treat you a little bit better, from my understanding, than single men, right? Because their time with you is essentially supposed to be more pleasurable for them, more pleasurable for you.
Okay, so I hear you. I hear you, and I definitely can understand the component of it where you're saying the time, the quality of the
Mm-hmm.
time, because there's so small of a number of time that um they try to make it well spent, if I could say it and use those
Worth
words to
it,
try
worth
to
it.
explain. But so that may be how some people view it from the surface level. But when you
Mm-hmm.
dig down deep into it, a little bit of time that's quality and well spent versus somebody not being yours at all. So I get what you're saying from that element of it, but when you look at the bigger thing of it, no, you're still cheating yourself and you're still losing out on that component of your self-worth.
We're talking about the woman that is engaging in it, right?
Yes.
So I hear what you're saying. I don't disagree one way or the other. Just looking at different
Mhm. Mhm.
positions that people take. Um, like I said, I don't ever recommend being the second woman, because
Right.
now look at it in terms of this. If your goal is to get the man, right? Because sometimes for whatever reason you end up in it. But if your goal is to get the man, and he's allowed to have you while he has his relationship, what is the likelihood that he's going to leave the relationship to be with you? And it's just a matter of, so if you don't have your relationship goals established, or your standards established beforehand, this
Right.
gets really, really tricky, because most of the times a woman who is at a certain age looking for something serious should know not to engage in something that essentially will lead to a dead end. But like I said, I just really became more familiar with this. This is something that people are talking about more. I don't know what the numbers are like in DC and in Maryland, but New York is horrible in terms of the men being doubled up. I mean, even for myself, when I'm dating, I want to say most of the men, maybe five, every five has someone already, and then they're almost asking you to accept it. It's almost like normalized. So now they don't even lie. They're like, this is my situation. Either you take it or you leave it, and they hope that you're going to take it. But
Right.
they're being honest up front now, and I blame us. I blame us women for allowing it and accepting a relationship like that.
So
Yes.
it's definitely like a two-way street. So thanks for like that input from the New York aspect. That's your area. That's where you do your coaching. So you know it and you see it and you witness it. Myra, coming from and servicing the DMV area, what has been your experience in terms of your clients and what you're seeing?
Yeah, this is not uncommon at all. There are several, same way as my sister said, there's several ways that women get there. Some actually desire it in the sense of I don't want a commitment, and so I'd rather be the side chick so I can get my little whenever I want it kind of thing, right? So that's one aspect of it. But many times, especially us women of color, we've placed ourselves on the clearance rack where
Mm,
we're easily balked, right? There's not like, I remember working with one client and she was dumbfounded that this guy gave her flowers. And I was like, this is not your standard. Your standard are not some roses from Harris Teeter.
right,
That's
right.
not your standard.
Hmm.
Yeah,
So really elevating that standard. It should be so much so that if we're comparing this to a department store that you have to go to the back with the key to
mm,
go get your item, right? And I think we sell ourselves short. I always tell women one of your best weapons is what's between your legs. And the quicker you give it away, the quicker you give away your power.
okay. Yeah. So, Neek, so as I was going through the topics, and one of the things that first came to my mind is COVID-19 and the impacts of it. So, do you feel that coronavirus and quarantining uh, dimmed down, or kind of like, apparently it didn't kill the side chick or the other woman, but what do you think has been the impact from that?
So no, COVID is never going to kill infidelity and sneakiness. There's always going to be time, and there's always going to be a way for that. Um, there's just different levels to it. Like my sister was saying, don't be on the clearance rack on display. But then there are women who actually they encounter men that can do a lot for them, right? They
Mm-hmm.
can they can pay bills for them. They can buy cars for them. They can send them on expensive trips. So at the end of the day, what is your end goal? If you want to get married, you can't be with someone who's married already. Anything is possible to happen in the end. But one of the things I do, and in my spiritual journey as well as my self development journey is I have to work on myself daily so that I can help other people work on themselves.
Right.
And one of the things that I came across was something called Kensho versus Satori, right? So it's how pain and suffering leads to insight. So
Mm.
when you in terms of Kensho, your soul, and some people might consider this to be the Holy Spirit, right? So as I was going through things, anything I felt, I always just assumed that it was the Holy Spirit. So there are some people that maybe are not as religious. So you have to connect how your body feels to what's happening to you environmentally. And I mean, even myself, I have engaged in a relationship. The person wasn't married, but I knew they had someone. And for whatever my reason was, I knew him for a long time, and it escalated much quicker than I thought. I thought we were going to go out to dinner and flirt, and because a lot of times a man will say, "Okay, I have someone," and usually that'll be it for me. Now that's how I have so many friends. But with this one, my whole nervous system was off. And what he said said, it made sense. It wasn't that he was never going to leave the person. It was just like, once we get to that, a decision has to be made. And to me, that was a high risk. And any goal is 50-50. But my body couldn't connect with him. My body couldn't connect with him for all the money in the world, for all the celebrity, for all the financial benefit that I could have, because I had done that lesson already, right? So once you feel that kin show impact, that painful impact, that is your soul. Your soul knows the path of least resistance, and it will try to get you to where you need to be. Hence, your body doesn't feel good. Then satori is when you sit in a place of peace, right? And you ruminate, and you think, and you learn, and you read more. So what what is for you will come to you. You will attract it because you're sitting in a place of peace. So I tried to get this poem over to you by Rumi, and when I try to read this ever so often when I feel like I need to read it, and it's for pretty much anything in life. So it says, when I run after what I think I want, my days are a furnace of stress and anxiety. If I sit in my own place of patience, what I need flows to me and without pain. From this, I understand what I want also wants me, is looking for me, and attracting me. There's a great secret here for anyone who can grasp it. And that's by Rumi. And if you ever sit and break that down, it's the truest poem I've ever read about wanting things in yourself and in the natural, as opposed to sitting back and letting it happen to you more organically and supernaturally.
That's definitely deep, and go into several different levels of it. I want to touch back a bit. You brought up the word
Mm-hmm.
soul, and that takes us right into the point of touching bases of the other two topics. And one of them is soulmate, and one of them is soul ties. So, let's talk about soulmates. Let's talk about soulmates. So we'll get into the aspect where a lot of people believe that there is a soulmate for someone, for everyone that is on this earth somewhere. Whether it's a person that they're married to, someone that they used to date or used to be involved with, or someone that they haven't met before. So, for the both of you, what are your quick overviews of soulmate? We'll talk about it more when we have the live audience on, the virtual audience on. But I just want to get your take and your insight on what you feel about the term soulmate.
Myra, you want to lead?
Sure. So I don't believe that there is soulmate. I believe that is something man-made. I do believe that when you are still and comfortable with who you are, know what you need, have created the proper boundaries for your life, and the other person is in the same space, that other person and you could make partnership and make wonderful life together. So I believe that any person who has the same values and the character that you have could pair up with you. So there's not just one, I think it's almost a ridiculous thought to think that there's just one person for you, Dream. No, only one person for you. Like there's only one in this whole world with 72 billion people in the world. That doesn't make any sense to me. I don't serve a God that boxes us in. I serve an infinite God that, like, sky is the limit, right? And so my soulmate, or the person who I'm gonna give my soul to, which is a different aspect, right? Is who you decide after you are whole to lend your soul to, right? That's a whole different concept than to be walking on earth waiting to meet this individual.
Yeah, and
I
the point.
I think. Go
Sorry.
ahead, Eugene.
Sorry. The great point that you made is, once you are whole, a lot of people get into
Yes.
different traps and trap. Not, I don't mean like that trap. I'm using that term. I just can't come up with another one, because they are not whole, and we'll be able to engage in discussion with that with the audience. So thanks for that that
Yeah,
overview, and
I
that
mean,
was
I,
good.
I got married at 35, and of course, I have much healing to continue to do, but it's important to understand where you are in a relationship, and then who you're going to pair up with, right? And if you're whole and that person's whole, there is some negotiation that you decide of vulnerability, intentionality, and connection. So
Yeah.
you make that decision of same
Right.
mind, right? You make that decision. It's not this like poof. This
Right.
is
Right.
that's my belief, and I know
Right.
that I know that I'm a unicorn, and I know I go against a grain. A lot of people believe in soulmates. I just don't.
Got it. How about you, Neat?
Well, soulmates can be anybody. Soulmates can be platonic relationships. Soulmates can be intimate relationships. I'm not gonna say that I don't believe in them. There's something that's soulmates on crack, which is twin flames. So I don't know if that's something you've ever heard of. And essentially, it means it's your mirror, right? So through ascension, your souls were split, and you just ended up in two different bodies. And at some point, you come back together because your purposes are aligned and things like that. But like Myra said, you probably do have a one person that is a really really perfect match for you, but that doesn't mean that God won't allow you to visit with other people throughout life in that time. And if you ever meet that person, wonderful. But if not, there are several other acceptable and suitable people to meet your purpose with.
Yeah. And I can definitely take pieces from both of you all, and of course, highly respect your opinion and your take on this. I kind of look at soulmates in the same aspect that I look at your purpose on earth, your purpose in life. At any given point, in any given stage, any given season in your life, things can adjust a bit, right? And people are always caught into this thing of searching for their purpose when all of the time what they're living and what they're going through right now at that given point, that is their purpose at that given time. So the same thing as in terms of relationships. And Neek, I totally agree with you in terms of this thing, and I don't know if I would call it soulmate, but I know what people are talking about when they are references. This thing that people are talking about, it is not only with a relationship of a man and a woman from a romantic aspect. It is from friends and family members and everything. At any given time, you may have a bond with a person, rather it be a best friend. I have several best friends. I have one that everybody knows in terms of Tina being my best friend, but I have several friends that at times we are very close and we are very connected. Whatever we're going through or whatever time that it is, that is what is at that given phase of life. So I think that when people go through relationships from a romantic standpoint, people fall in love. I don't think that you only in life you only fall in love with one person in your entire life, and that person is the person that you love regardless of whatever you do. Now, so Ty is a whole different story, but we're going to talk about that on the flip side of things. But thank you so much for both of your insight and input. What we're going to do is we're going to take a commercial. And on the other side, we're going to bring everyone into the virtual room, our virtual audience, so that we can have an open, uncut dialogue about these three topics and answer questions and engage. And I'll also be monitoring the lines because also we have already gotten 2 questions from Facebook Live. So we're going to take a break. We're going to take a commercial, and then on the other side, we're going to let loose. So we'll be back in a minute.
Are you interested in real estate investing but not quite sure where to get started? Do you want to get the know-hows on creating ongoing passive income using the buy and hold strategy? Hi, I'm Janice Bowles, licensed realtor and co-founder of B Premier Ventures, a real estate development and consulting firm where we buy and beautify distressed real estate, renovate it, and resell for profit. With over 15 years of investing experience, B Premier has extensive knowledge in rural land development, fix and flips, and rental acquisitions. B Premier's current portfolio consists of properties within Florida and Virginia. Our firm's services includes investor project consulting, project management, and group coaching. For more information, visit our website at bpremierventures.com and schedule a complimentary discovery session or subscribe to our email list. It's free. Follow me on Instagram at Janice Bowles for additional real estate investing tips. B Premier Ventures, we buy and beautify.
Welcome back, everybody. Oh my goodness, the videos and the pictures of my launch and me celebrating yesterday just warms my heart. The pictures bring back memories. I'm so excited, and again, can't wait for the next 5 years. So, what we're going to do now, we have several people who are on our Facebook Live, and then we have several people that are in the Zoom room. And we are going to go into dialogue about the various topics that we have been talking about. And Myra and also Coach Neek are going to be engaged in the conversation as well. So what I want to do is first, Myra and Neek, I want to kick it off with two questions that were in the Facebook Live. Janice Bowles asks, what is the number one reason for so many women wanting to willingly accept being the second option? Is the obsession with material things outweighing self-love and self-worth? And I know you pretty much kind of addressed it in that way. Both of you touched upon it. But if you can give like 3 sentences to recap or and answer that, what would you take? Can we start with you, Neek?
Yeah, it is definitely a self-love issue. It's a lack of faith. Um, and because that means you don't trust God. First of all, love is in abundance. When I left the person that wanted to double up on me, I had 5 people by the end of the week. So there's no shortage of men, and it's a vibration and it's an energy. You need to see yourself the way that God wants you to see yourself. If you don't know how you look, ask God, how do you see me? Because once you see yourself as valuable
Yeah.
and worthy, certain men are not even going to ever catch your scent to speak to you. Because for a second, I was like, well, why are people even approaching me like this? But guess what else that also means? I started to realize I didn't have clarity in my own love life because we always attract ourselves. So
Right.
whatever that person was. He was tied to somebody else. Maybe I was tied to something else emotionally. So there are several different reasons for people to accept that.
Yeah. And Myra, instead of you answering that one, let me bring up the second question. Gianni Flowers asks, do many people rush into relationships because there is a fear of being alone?
Yeah, I mean, the answer is, of course, yes. There is a fear of being alone. And it's always that concept of, if I have something already in my hand, why am I going to go into another? But here's the thing, and the men could speak on this as well. I find that men have the opposite issue. I find that men could have a good thing right here and still be peeking around the corner, whereas a woman finds something here and holds on to it. And so we have that going on where we're holding on and the man is still kind of peeking to see what else may be around, because you just don't want to settle. And
Right.
we easily more settle than, and I find this as men, and men, you know, you could speak on this, but yeah, I think that, yes, absolutely. There is a fear of being alone. There's a fear of knowing who you are when you are alone.
Right.
Like,
So
who
we have
are you? And there's no one else to talk to. There's no one else to be with. Who are you? And
right.
there's a fear of figuring that out for yourself and living that way.
Yeah. So we have three men on the line. Men, any one of you all want to respond to that question? No. Okay. So
They're they're all muted, Jean. They're all muted. They're trying to speak. I see lips moving, but they're muted.
um, can we check the mics for muting? Donovan, anything you want to add?
So why women decide to be side, be on the side?
In terms
Is that the
of
question?
do you think that women choose to be the second person because they have a fear of being alone?
Well, first I'd like to say I understand the thing with women, but it's for men as well. I've personally been a side dude before, and it had nothing to do with being alone. It was me wanting to be with a woman I thought was fine.
That
I
was
didn't care about her having to do. This when I was a little younger. So
okay.
I don't think it's always because they're alone. There are many different reasons why.
Okay.
I would
Any?
like for y'all to talk about that plays a part too. A lot of women that are married cheat and have side men as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. That's definitely true. So, any other men's want to respond?
I
Yeah,
respond.
Dream.
Okay,
What?
I hear Major.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, I respond. The question y'all was talking about, I think women, they have all reason why they'll be a side chick. Like coming up when we play the game out there in the world, you have your little side chick. Most of them be for money. They want things and stuff like that. What would you call them? Gold diggers? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So they don't mind being that side chick because most of them have somebody anyway. They just want to deal with somebody to get something fast money. They like fancy cars, houses, and stuff like that. So they have their own purpose while they dealing with that man. So I don't think it's about being alone. I mean, some women probably do, fear of being alone,
Right.
but most of them that does that way, they either, like the
Point.
gentleman said, they either have a husband or something, and they just out creeping and trying to prove something to their girlfriend that they still got it and all that kind of stuff. That's
Okay.
all.
Good point. Boogaloo. Anthony, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I wanted to say something. Uh, I feel women that they are alone. I mean, they don't want to be alone. But in the same point, it's the gentleman what he say to him, and what he say to him is mostly everything they going through. A man, if he study a woman, he know how to get a woman. Because the average female, they just want somebody. And even though you got somebody, if you speak on what that person done to her, like used her, took advantage of her, you need somebody, woo, 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 it works. it depends on the woman though. It depends on how she carry herself. But most women out here been hurt so many times. And when a guy come along, they don't always tell the truth. They always say, "Oh, I'm single," or that we ain't together. But after the conversation and after everything get done, then that's when it come out, "Oh, I got somebody." And then it's up to that female to choose if she want to stay or not. A lot of them want to stay just because of the things you said, and they know who you are.
Mm. Oh, you hit on some very good points. And one is that whole communication piece. I think that anybody can learn and find out somebody if they pay attention and listen to them. People often express through their hurts or their desires, what they really, really enjoy and what they dislike. And if you have someone in tune with you and they're paying attention to your likes and that's what they're providing, and then your dislike, they're speaking to you in that manner and providing you encouragement, or like that thing that hurt you, they're doing the opposite of it, you're normally going to be able to reel somebody in. And that goes both ways, from a man aspect and from a woman. So that was a very good point. Any of the ladies, do you want to chime in about the comments that the men made about why women choose to do this?
Why wouldn't you?
Trina, any comments from you?
Why didn't
Yeah, I do. I would say, like everyone, they made a good point. But I think the vulnerability level that comes into play as well. A lot of times, different stages in your life, depending on what you're going through, that vulnerability piece. Sometimes you may open up to a person who may can you where you may feel as fulfilling that area. So it's not so much of women want to be alone. I mean, don't want to be alone, or men don't want to be alone. But I think men and women, we come to that point where we become vulnerable at something that's going on in our lives at that time. And before you know it, you may end up in a relationship, or you may just end up with a very close person, like they said, with the communication and things like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that communication, oof, when somebody is responding to your needs, and that thirst that you have or that itch that you have, they are quenching it or they are scratching it. Even if it starts off as a platonic relationship, that can be very, very dangerous. So the point that Myra made of making sure that you are whole, because in any given situation, when someone is hurting or they have something that they're dealing with, married, what have you, or whatever, there's that chance where something can really like cross the lines with that. Tina Hunter, any thoughts with you on that?
Well, yeah, as far as the part of being, you meet someone, being in that situation that you guys are speaking on, and I mean, I can say I've been in a situation. I'm pretty sure we all have at some point in our lives, before marriage, and that person's energy is speaking to you. You know what I'm saying? But for real, that song by Erica Badu, I guess I see you next lifetime.
Yep.
Because you're in a sticky situation, or they in a sticky situation. And when you're in but something, it's just something about when the chemistry is there,
Oh,
right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So all right, now let's go ahead and break it loose. So
Hey.
let's jump into the topic of soul ties.
So
Soul ties. Myra, a previous discussion that we had on the show where you talked about soul ties, and Katrina jumped in and brought up that chemistry thing. So we know that was a whole topic. So let's switch gears here a bit. Let's go to Tina Johnson. Any thoughts and any feelings about soul ties? So for me, the way I look at it is It's that someone that you might not currently be in a relationship, maybe someone from your past. In some cases, it be baby mothers and baby fathers. Otherwise, it's just somebody that you were in a relationship with or had some involvements with, and it's like no matter what goes on, you can't shake them. And it may not even be that you want to be in a relationship with them. It's just something about it that you are connected to it. And we can get into the biblical aspect of every person that you have sexual intercourse with. They're soul tied because your soul, their soul, y'all had interaction, and there you have it. But Tina Johnson, any thoughts? What are your thoughts regarding soul ties?
Uh, Thank you for allowing me to speak, Miss Peter, Miss but number one, I had something that I wanted to say about the first question that you
Okay.
asked. And from my perspective and the way I see it, and I have a lot of girlfriends who do decide to deal with men that are involved in relationships. Some are single and accept a man with a wife, and some are in a relationship but not married and accept a man. And from my perspective and seeing and hearing and knowing, it's all from the beginning from a selfish act. It's all about them wanting what they want, not caring about who's going to get hurt or whatever. And that's on both sides. And one of the things, as far as the men, I've also had men tell me that a lot of times, guys on a hunt, they looking and they meet a girl, a woman or a female, and the female is vulnerable. So what they tend to do is say all the things that they wish that they got from their mate. So the men put their representative on to be all who they want to be. And then at the end of the day, once they get to really know them, they find out that the grass wasn't green on the other side.
Okay.
So that's just my take on people, why people choose to deal with people who they know are in relationships with other people is because they're both being selfish and only caring about what they want at that time. So that's
Wow.
just my perspective on that. As far
Wow.
as soul ties, now, I do believe a lot of times you can meet someone and just off the top, something about your spirit is connected on a whole nother level, but that still don't mean that that's the person that you're supposed to be with, especially if you're involved with someone else. So I do that. I think that some people can connect on levels that's more than, more than just the physical. So
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer that that can happen.
Yeah.
And if your timing is right and you have those two people, then again, I do believe in soulmates, and you can't have more than one. I've heard somebody tell me one time their soulmate was their dog.
Okay.
And then
All
when
right.
you think about people who really love and care about their animals like that,
Right.
hey, who am I to judge? But yeah, you do. I believe that there are soulmates. I do believe that people, and like just sometimes friends. You can have soul ties, and it's strictly platonic or whatever between your girlfriends. You ever had a girlfriend that you going through something and they called you up and was like, "Girl, you all right?" What I'm saying. And there's somebody
Right.
who can read and feel what you cannot articulate at that moment or whatever. But yeah,
Right.
that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
All right. Shantae, we haven't heard from you at all. Any thoughts on any one of the topics?
Um, so my thing is, um, I'm a firm believer that God did not give you somebody else's husband, and it is people out there for everybody. But when you be uh, when you be like the second person and not the first person that's telling people about your character, it's all start with you. You have to love yourself first. And if you don't love yourself first, you're not gonna love anybody else. So,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, everybody in this world got hurt. But you have to look at life like God made it, because if it wasn't for Adam asking for Eve, the women wouldn't even be here.
Right.
So that's the first thing that, the men's have to realize, we all was created from Adam's rib. So yeah, so it's like,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I've been through a lot of situations or
Mhm.
whatever. I'm on the single side right now, and I'm thankful for it, and I'm loving it because I'm waiting patiently to, just waiting patiently for God to send me who He has for me, and I'm not going to just like go back into reverse tile. Um, I don't normally talk about my story, but I will share just a little bit with y'all. Tina already knows my story. Tina Hunter, she already know my story. But it was like I was single, and this guy, I met him through my cousin and his brother, and he started out to be so good, but turned it out to be a monster. I had
Mm.
prayed for God to send me somebody good because I was in another relationship, and he just up and left me and my daughter and
Oh.
stuff. And I told him, like, I'm not going to be with you if you're not going to be around for me and my child because you helped me raise her, and she only knew you because you helped me raise her. So when he like dumped me 4 years, I stayed single for 5 years, and then I prayed God to send me somebody good. Well, that prayer turned out into a disaster because it's like God sent me somebody good, but me not knowing that he was a molester. He molested my daughter, not his daughter, my daughter. So yeah, so I'm taking my time to get involved with anybody because a lot of people don't tell you their truths.
Wow.
Right.
Representative.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
That's
Yep.
what Tina said.
That's oh my goodness. So one of the things I wanted to circle back. So Zakia Butts wrote and she responded almost identical to what you said, and a couple other people. I truly believe in soulmates. I believe that my husband is truly a godsend. So hers tie into some of the things that you said. So I want to go to I want to flip back to soulmate in 1 second, but I want Myra to touch base on soul ties. Myra, what's your insight and your take on how you define or what you see the term of soul ties as?
Yeah, so soul ties is really on the baseline. It's intimacy, it's deep intimacy created, right? So that's a soul tie. Your soul tie is someone that you have given part of you to them. It's back when we talked about that term soulmate is when you decided that you are going to get a piece of me. Now, that when you give that piece of yourself to that individual and the individual is not ready to hold that piece as something to be precious, right? Then it become a soul ties because you break up or you move away or you separate, but that piece of you is still in that person or with that person, and you can't get it back. It's almost like they took some power from you. They took some energy from you, and
Right.
so and it could be sexual, which many of us think of as sexual, but it could be financial. It could be emotional. I've known individuals who have given up so much of their heart to someone, and that person just moves away and separates and takes that for granted, and the individual stays with this feeling of wanting and waning because that piece of them is there. And so breaking that soul ties that's the process, right?
Oh,
Is really understanding that sometimes people are in your life for a season. And so if you could believe that and you could see that and your soul can be mend back together. It is you are you know we are incredible human beings, right? Like the way God created us, we almost regenerate, if you want to say that. So we can recover, we can heal, we can become whole after adultery or after being put into bankrupt or after being torn up or embarrassed or abused. We are able to recover from that. There is healing within that. But the tie is when you have given something and there is that pull is always there for you unless
yes,
you decide to
yes,
break.
yes, and definitely yes. a couple things that you said, but I'm gonna focus on one specific area where you talked about it is possible for you to break from it, and a lot of people, honestly, and I know, like, especially if you're in the midst of it, it's almost like an addiction. When you are addicted to something, deeply addicted, it almost feels like you are never going to be able to detach from that. That is going to be your place, and you try and you try and try, and then ultimately something happens where you come to the point where it no longer satisfies a need that you have. It no longer satisfies a need that you have. And from talking to my friends and going through like various experiences, I often think that it leads to the foundation of something being unhealed. It is no person on earth that has that thing to make you whole. You make yourself whole. And when we have fragmented, broken pieces, and we have underlining, unhealing aspects of us, of us, we look to other things. And we may not see it immediately. It may not raise to the surface of things. It may be an underlining things. But boy, oh boy, that thing will come up. It's when you sit with yourself and you are totally open and honest with yourself and the fragmented, broken parts of you, and you choose to heal through all the pain, through the toughness that it takes, you can get through it. So, Myra, that was a very good point in your analogy that you use to bankruptcy and some other things. So transitioning over to soulmate, because Chrissy and Boogaloo, they are a married couple who have definitely gone through some things. But transitioning from soul ties to soulmate, one of the things that I play around with words and I do a lot of things. I noted that the official spelling of soul tie, it was two separate words, soul and tie. And then soulmate was together. It's almost like soulmate together. Run, separate from your soul tie. But I just noted that. But Chrissy and Boogaloo, let's talk about soulmate. You all are a married couple, and congratulations, you just celebrated your 25th wedding anniversary, but you all have been together for much, much longer. How do Chrissy, let's start with you. How do you feel about soulmate? Do you feel like Anthony Boogaloo is your soulmate?
Thank you, Dream, for allowing me to speak. If everyone can hear me,
Yes.
I do feel that he is my soulmate. Before him and I got married, when you're young and you kind of out there, exploring options, and you kind of out there, kind of getting the feel of what it is that you want and what it is that you like. When you're young, you're not really, really at that point in your life where you really, really, really got your mind made up. So you kind of like all over the place. You're having fun. You're dating. You're doing like a lot of things that you would do as a teenager. As you get older, your mindset starts to change. So you get to a point in your life where you want to get settled. You get to a point in your life where you want to find that soulmate. You get to that point where you want to find that person who completes you, you and that person, you all can be on the same page together. You and that person, y'all can talk about anything. You and that person, y'all can sit back and y'all can laugh about anything. You all can just enjoy your life together. And when Boo and I first met, which was over 32 years ago, of course we both were young. So we both was actually trying to figure out each other. And as we got older and as time passed, and as him and I really, really, really got to actually know one another, then that's when I can honestly say that our soul tie started to actually play a part. It started to actually play a part. He got to a point that He was ready to settle down. He got to a point that he was ready to change. He got to a point that he knew what he wanted. And I can honestly speak on his behalf also. I think that I am his soulmate. I think I am his soulmate. We're actually each other's soulmate. We're actually each other's soulmate. We actually enjoy one another. We actually enjoy one another. He is my soulmate.
And one
He
of the
is my
things that
soulmate.
you
No
said,
second guessing it at all. No second guessing it at all.
and one of the things that you said is when he decided to change or when he wanted to change. Unfortunately, and I have been guilty of this myself, we think that as women, if we are on the right track and uh, open to a relationship and we want to make it work and somebody don't quite have all of it all together, we look at the potential. How do you look at potential? But we look at the potential in them, and those things that we don't like, we think we can change. Ladies, let me tell you, and gentlemen, that's not going to happen. You can't change anyone. And if you feel like you have been with someone and they have changed, it is that they have changed. You didn't change them. You can make impact on someone, but it is a person's determination and their self decision to make that change and adjust. So I like that you said that. And Boogaloo, she has already spoken for you. I'm joking. But anything else that you want to add in terms of like the soulmate? And I know I have to bring y'all on the show. Like we can have a whole show and talk about the years and the stories and the various things that you
Yeah.
all went through. But in terms of soulmate,
I,
Boogaloo, she's
I just
already
wanted to say
answered. So any ad lib that you want to make.
I just wanted to say this. When I found out she was my soulmate, the reason I found out because when I was in the streets doing me, I never can just get her out of my plate or my mind. And once I realized that was for me, I went to God to work on myself. So when I come back, I be pure as one for her. Cause I just knew this where I had to be. So I just got my right life with God. Then I worked on myself. Then I came home, and we've been we ain't just a married couple. We best friends. We sit around this house all day, laugh and joke. And I'm just thankful for that, to have a cellmate like that.
Soulmate.
I love that. A soulmate. Oh, Chrissy, he got you locked up. He said cellmate. Y'all talking on each other. I'm just joking.
Say soulmate.
I'm
I was like,
joking.
wait a minute, cellmate. Like, wait a minute. That's why I
Right,
asked
right, 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 right.
He said he like he said
yeah,
he
that's
gonna
like
do
a
life.
soulmate.
I love y'all story and I love that. Neek, I'm going to come to you next. I'm going to go to Donovan first and circle back on the discussion of side chick. Donovan, so you gave input to the first piece where we kind of like started off with side chick, but the other two areas. If you're not talking, can you please mute or make sure that you're not talking so we can be clear. So Donovan, you kind of like chimed in on the aspect of a side chick, but the other two factors. Can you go and tell me your thoughts in terms of soulmate and soul ties?
First of all, I definitely believe in soulmate. I believe in that. I think my soulmate was in high school. I think I missed him, and I think that's
Mm,
why I'm still single. Honestly,
okay.
I'll continue to live and see if it happens, But I think you'll know because, like they said, you'll have things in common. You'll be on the same accord. You don't have. You'll sometimes answer each other's like you answer questions for the other person, or when you have a disagreement, you'll be able to come to an understanding a lot faster, a lot easier without going through a whole lot of stuff. Because you love each other so much, you don't want to hurt that person. So you'll try to work with them, even if you don't always agree. You say, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and deal with it. We'll work this out. So I think that it's big to try to deal with somebody that's possibly your soulmate. I do have a question though. Is it possible to have more than one soulmate? Like, do you have a soulmate? Is that it, or can there be a couple of Like, if I missed her, does that mean that? That's what I want to know. Like, is it over for me? Like, do I just deal with somebody that's not my soulmate now? Am I shooting for
I'm no
the best I can
expert.
get?
I'm no expert, but for me, when you said you think your soulmate was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
this is someone that you dated before.
I dated her in high school, yeah.
Yeah, you dated her in high school, and for whatever reason, y'all broke up and it wasn't finished. So you feeling like that, you know, whatever, what would have happened if we would have, and I say that from experience because I'm now with someone who I went to high school with who was crazy about me in high school. He was married, he done had kids and all of that or whatever. But somehow or another, we're back together now. And we never really discussed whether or not we're soulmates, but together it's like we're freaking frack. Everything flows. We argue, we whatever. And I often think back to if we were together in high school, will we have still been together all this time? So I think it's like a feeling for you as far as that. And if it's really your soulmate, you got to go find her.
Well, nah, I know what she is. It's not gonna happen. But
Oh,
what you just
she's
said,
married.
She's married.
yeah, she is. But what you just said,
Then
my
that's where you got to be selfish and go get. But I'm just joking. I'm
no,
kidding.
the last girl I
I'm
dated was actually
kidding.
the last girl I dated was actually someone I knew from high school, and I felt that was going to be a soulmate situation, but she wasn't ready, so I had to let her go. Unfortunately, so it's a weird thing because you may feel like a person is your soulmate. I loved her in high school. She was like one of the top 3 women on my list, like Lisa Ray and all them. I was in love with this woman. I finally got with her and was like, "This is it. We're gonna do this. I'm gonna do everything I can to make sure you are the happiest woman on this planet. I'm gonna hold you so high. I revere you." But she couldn't handle it because she was so hurt from prior relationships that she didn't know how to deal with a man who's gonna give her all that and treat her that way. She didn't know how to accept me. She didn't believe I was as good a dude as I actually was.
And
You know what I mean?
Donovan,
That's the
that
answer to that
goes
one thing
to
you just said.
people that are not whole. So it goes back to that whole thing that Myra said. She wasn't whole. And then even though you had told her, I'll give you any and everything, that's the point that I was making. And no one else on this walking on this earth can make you whole. It was her things that she had to deal with, so that she wasn't, like you said, she wasn't ready for you, but she wasn't whole in her given self. So anything about soul ties?
Soul ties. I'm not. When you said something about when you said soul ties, I guess it's like when you have something that you feel kind of makes you or something you. It was something you said. So I'm gonna say this. When I was a kid, right, I used to have a situation where I was addicted to sex. All right. I went to church, went to the pastor and say, "Listen, man, I got a problem. I need you to help me get away from wanting to have sex all the time." And I wasn't a bad looking guy, so I didn't have a hard time getting to women, so I didn't have a problem following through with it. At this point in my life, it's turned around, and now I'm mind over matter, and sex is not important to me at all. I would have never thought that I'd have been able to
Did you
get
say
over
not
that.
at all?
Not at all. Not at all. It comes with it. Of course, it's a part of us being human, but I don't have to have sex. It's not. It's mind over matter. And I think that it messes up a lot of women in their mind because they wonder, is it them or is what's going on? And I'm like, no, I'm not. It's not that. We got to build on some other things, So I'm gonna say with the soul ties, I think that it depends on you, the makeup of you as a person. So my soul tie to somebody is going to be different because I'm not looking for what they typically find that most guys are looking for sex, right? I don't come to the table with that. So it kind of sets us in different directions. They're trying to figure out what's going on. You know,
Right. Okay, that was good. So, actually, Nick, we're gonna close out with you, Trina. So you spoke about some of the aspects, but you did not speak about every thing. Any insight or anything that you want to add on soul ties?
You said Trina?
Yes, Katrina.
Okay. I did yeah, so I'm glad, Myra, you broke that down, the difference between soulmate and soul ties, because I always wanted to understand the difference. I do feel that I have been in a relationship, never thinking it was a soulmate, but not understanding exactly what type of relationship it was. So that bring closure help me bring closure to it was a soul tie relationship. Like you mentioned, I wrote down some pointers where you mentioned soul ties is when it can be intimacy, it could be things you have together, it can be whether it's your children, whether it's finances. Those are soul ties that you have with people. And believe it or not, some people end up in long-term relationships based on soul ties.
Yeah. No,
And so I appreciate you breaking that down to understand, the difference between the two.
I definitely agree with you in terms of the long termness of it. And the crazy thing is, in dialogue with a couple of my girls and some dudes were included too, it was the aspect of a soul tie, and I'm talking about from a romantic, intimate relationship. It could be that that is not even the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. But every time you have a continuous relationship, a break in it, or something goes, or some activity that is triggered, something that that person gave to you before, whether it be the gentleness of their voice or whatever it may be, you tend to run back to that thing, and you have a comfort level, and it's a level of familiarity, like you are familiar with it. Anything else, Trina?
No, that's it
Okay.
basically. I mean, my comments would be for a whole nother show.
Oh, every one of y'all blocks are going to have a whole nother show. Major, and then we're going to go to you, Tina Hunter. So major. So
I'm sorry,
again,
I don't want to cut you off, but I have to go.
oh, okay. So you can go ahead and do your last pieces. So I know you talked about side chicks at the beginning. That was how we started off our conversation. So I wanted to see from you, from all of the comments that you have heard from all of the different participants, and anything that you may have read on the Facebook Live. Is there anything additional that you want to add, or anything that you want to further address?
So just when it comes to soul ties, they're not horrible things. Soul ties were created to bond a man and a woman together. You know, God knew that it would be a husband and wife together. So God knew that there would be a day where you didn't have your six pack anymore and your hourglass figure, and He needed to knit you guys together. So that's why when you are in a soul tie, it's so painful to break away. Now there are ways to avoid soul ties. A lot of times they happen through sex. So if you if you protect your body more, I don't know if you've ever noticed, if you need to get away from someone, you might like them a lot, but if you haven't been intimate with them, it's maybe a little bit easier, right? Because
Yeah.
it's when men sleep with you, it's a transfer of energy. They lose energy. When they sleep with us, we receive everything from them. So you might have an STD. You might have a sexually transmitted demon from that person that you've had sex with. So that was my only point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Soul ties are godly or ungodly. You have to figure out which one is it. Because remember, these are things devised by the enemy. If he's got you, they're painful. If he's got you in pain and you can't do the things you need to do to move on, et cetera,
Right.
then you know that that came from him.
Right. Right.
You know,
Right.
you stepped out of that hedge. You stepped out of that hedge, right? We're not supposed to have sex outside of marriage, right? So
Good
there's
point.
something that's going to come along with it. And that's why you have to
Repercussions.
be very careful with that intimacy with people outside of marriage.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was very good. That was very, very good. Definitely closed it out and hit on some great points. So I know you have to leave. Can you please provide your contact information and tell folks how they can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. You can always reach out to me at thehelpmeclub.com. I'm the Help Me Club on Facebook and Instagram. And yes, I'm a coach. We're accepting clients now. This is a busy season. Um, we're doing matchmaking. So reach out to me and we'll figure out if we are a good match for each other.
Thank you so much, Neat. And can you put your information in the feed so if someone wants to contact you, they can have the direct information and just click
Yes.
on it? Thank you so much. And I know you
Thank
have to
you,
go. I
everyone.
appreciate you hanging in. So
Thank you.
we're gonna need to like really bring this to a close, but I wanted to be respectful, and the people who didn't get a chance to fully go through all of them, I want to touch base. So, Major, I'm gonna circle back to you. Tina Hunter, you only really got to answer one of them, and Myra, we're gonna close out with you. So if it's any other comments that the participants want to say, if you add it into the feed, then I'll catch it and cap all. But we really gotta bring this to a close. So Major, you spoke on the side chick. I didn't really hear from you in terms of how you feel about soulmate and also how you feel about soul ties. And you can just shed it from the point you were married before, single, and now you are. I think you just celebrated your 1 year anniversary. So can you tell me your thoughts, and you can pick one or the other, or intertwine it into both in like 2 minutes or so.
Okay, so I'm going with soulmate, and I truly believe in that because it happened for me. And it didn't happen to me until I changed my life around. A lot of people don't know. You got to know your worth in Christ. You got to know your worth in God, and you got to change. You got to have a mindset. You got to change your mind, change your thought, the way you got to change everything. So when I went back and gave my life to Christ, that's when everything turned around for me. And God does have somebody stored away from you, but one that don't believe it, God do have a soulmate for it. Like the young lady was speaking, just have patience, just wait, and just examine yourself, do the things that God called you to do. And I'm telling you, God gonna give you. That's how I see my mate. I got a pretty wife. Man, I tell you, I wouldn't trade her for nothing in the world. And I know it was God sent because I couldn't get her on my own. I tried it, but it didn't work until I got my life back together. And I truly believe in soulmates. I truly believe God has somebody for everybody. All He wants you to do is get yourself together. And it all changed around when I got myself together. And I thank God for that. And for soul ties, since I got married, I don't even worry about no ties. I cut all ties off, even the soap powder ties. I don't deal with no ties. I have a soulmate and I love her and I thank God for it.
Oh my gosh, I love that. And your wife better give you something tonight. So I can play. But the thing is that when you said like from the golly aspect of it, you know your experience that you went through, and you know your feeling of what you feel now. You know, I joked on the post when I said, you know what your life was like before, you and Boogaloo hanging out. But from a serious aspect, you know what you went through or whatever. And that's why I feel like the pathways that we go through on your past relationships, they were meant to teach you something. Your past relationship couldn't make you whole or couldn't make you change. God shifts us, and along the way, we have people on our pathways that are supposed to be a lesson to us, a blessing to us, or some type of way. It is when we don't pay attention to our lessons along the way that we miss it. So I feel that as we're going along and we're gathering different pieces of information, and when we're obedient and paying attention to it, it is making us whole. It's making us whole. So we go through our seasons and our seasons and our reasons for different things. So go on. You can go on with your wife. So tell her I said she. It's like I'm playing. I'm playing. So Tina Hunter, you addressed a bit in terms of answering to a couple of the questions earlier. So I just want to give you the opportunity. Are there any other aspects that you wanted to chime in on, or anything in overall for your closeout? Tina, you may be on mute. Tina Hunter.
Yep, I was on mute. Sorry. For the soul, is it the soul tie? Been there and done that. So yeah, and then the thing is or the person you think is your soulmate, and so you know, as you move forward, like some of them on here was saying, as you mature, right?
Right.
And you think, oh, this is my soulmate. This is, who I'm about to, I will be marrying and I'm going to live life and da 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 da. But then, see, God knows best, because then yeah, okay, because here he come bringing, he'll put a switch in there real quick and you end up with X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Whether it's marriage or dating or what have you, it's a turn in the road or it's a block there. So how is that? To me, that's because I get the whole concept of soulmate
Right.
and soul ties, but and God, I'm spiritual, all of that, but still, as being a human, I believe people, no matter if you're honest, some people still go through, whether they're in a marriage or a committed relationship. There's still maybe that person out there that you have and would you say maybe a soul tie? You connected to, and it's a funny soul tie because it's like when you see that person, it's like you born again, and it's like that's the person I really was supposed to get married to, or that's the person I'm really supposed to be with.
Right.
That thing have you thinking and guessing and doing all kinds of things, all sorts of things.
Yeah.
So yeah, and like Myra said, although the experts, the dating experts and the relation experts, Myra said, um, maybe there weren't any closure. But how about what happens when you go back and make closure? And so you done made closure has happened, then you might run into this person again. And they
But then is that really closure? Did that closure really occur? So and that is one thing. And I'm only going to touch upon this, but communication. Communication is key. And not all the time everybody is 100% pouring themselves out and being clearly transparent on the conversation. And my thing is this: when you are not vulnerable and when you are not 100% and open into a conversation, whatever y'all are talking about and whatever y'all are going through and dealing with, it might not be 100% honest and 100% the answer and 100% the thing that you're going through. If we are playing fair weather friend and I'm expressing my feelings based on what you're saying because I have the fear of rejection, and you're doing the same thing that when I move, you move just like that. If that's how we're going and we're trying to be in sync on that, we may not be getting to the surface of how we feel or what we feel about each other. It is that feeling or not wanting to be rejected or not really sure how that other person feel about you, because you most time don't want to come off overly and expressing, and then the other person be like, shorty, I ain't tripping off you like that, or something in that term, because you don't want your feelings hurt. But my thing is being open and honest. Of course, reserve yourself and do what you need to do, but I would rather know at that point in that aspect of what I'm doing and what I'm going into. So it's a lot to go on with that, but we need to have another discussion about soul tie. So Myra, you are about to close out the show, but Donovan, somebody said, and they just wanted to clarify, sex. It's not really a big thing for you. You ain't tripping off of it. And did you mean like prior to leading up to the conversation, like you're not trying to hit Lottie Dottie and everybody, and you can wait on a woman, and it's not like you just want to have sex with them? Or are you saying when you are in a relationship that you are not tripping off of sex? Your mic, Donovan.
I'm so no, you can't hear me?
Yes, I can
Yeah.
hear you now.
Yeah, I just didn't say anything yet. I had to ponder.
Oh, okay.
So I mean, in general, any woman that's dealt with me in the last 20 years, 15 to 20 years, would tell you, dude right there is not tripping. He's not tripping. It's secondhand. Like, of course, I enjoy sex, and like any other, most other men and women do.
Right.
But I can be celibate for a long time.
Oh, okay. I get it.
Be in a relationship, and typically, when I deal with ladies and we get together, they typically initiate it, not me. I don't usually initiate sex. It's usually the ladies initiating sex.
Oh,
But
really?
when I was younger, it was different. I was more apt to it. But my life has turned around, so it's not that. It's
Amen.
not really. It may sound crazy, but it's really not that serious to me. It's not.
Okay. Okay. No, no, no. Thanks for
Yeah.
explaining it. No, I mean to each his own. Like I ain't no judgment zone. I
If
just
I'm in a relationship, we doing it though. But I'm just saying, I don't. It's not something I'm coming home like. Let's, I'd rather sit
you
down
don't
and have
need
a
it every day. It's like I'm
conversation.
playing Don. But okay, I get your point. I'm
Hey,
playing. I'm
don't
about to
start. Hey,
start
listen.
being
Don't. Hey,
funny.
come on.
So okay, okay.
Sit
Myra,
back. Let me
Myra,
Hey,
teach y'all
Myra,
something.
Myra. Yes.
Dreamer, I wanted to ask him a question real quick for
Real
Donovan.
quick, y'all gonna get me put out the studio.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Donovan, because you said that, your comment on, you the sex thing is, and which I think is really great, because women get tired of, and I ain't just women, it could go both ways. But men being like, the first thing they want to do is be intimate or what have you.
Mm-hmm.
But do you think that's setting yourself up for like and maybe I misinterpret setting yourself up for because you said you're single and so do you feel like you setting yourself up to almost like be by how you can be get comfortable with being by yourself because you know what I'm saying? I
I
hope
get
I'm
it. No, I think I'm the prize. Just like a woman thinks she's the prize, I'm the bag.
uh-huh.
I'm the bag as well. So it takes time to get, you know,
Right.
like
Right.
a lot of ladies today say, I'm not waiting 6 months to find out he's trash in bed. A lot of women say that. Personally,
Mm-hmm.
like I'll wait, and if you're trash, I'll make you good. We'll make it right.
That's it.
And it's okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Salute
Uh,
to
That's
that.
good.
he answered your
That's
question,
Yes.
Tina.
good. And those are the type of conversations that women need to hear. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? So, Dreamer, you probably want to make a because they want we women need to we want to hear more in
I'm
depth. We
here for
want
you. I'm here.
All right, Donovan, we're gonna do a whole little circle show where we're gonna team you up with a couple other
You
fellas,
already
and we're
know.
gonna basically talk about what women want to know, and we're gonna set y'all up on a panel, and we're gonna ask y'all questions so that you can provide us an answer, and then later we'll do the flip flop of things. So we're gonna put you all up, and we want to know what's in that bag that you got. It's like
I'm the bag.
I'm playing. So thank you all so much. So Myra, oh my gosh, all of the various conversations that you have heard, you are engaged with this type of situation on a daily basis because you coach women. So you know definitely from the woman's side, you have a husband, your husband and you do marriage counseling, and then also from that, you have friends who are you're in that industry where you have friends who are coaches. So all of the conversation that we have said, what closing remarks or what capturing would you like to share with the audience?
I think a few things. This is an amazing conversation, and we cannot capture all the juiciness in just one small segment. It's definitely a part one. There
Okay,
needs to
we
be
need part two.
a be continue. I
All
think
right,
of a
we'll
few
do that
things.
next month.
One is one is that the Bible says that faith without deeds is
Without work is dead. Mm-hmm.
right? It's
It's
dead.
dead.
And so too many times, and I speak to my single women as this, they're like, oh, I'm sitting and I'm waiting for my man. I'm sitting and I'm waiting. I'm praying and I'm sitting and I'm waiting for my man. Well, unless he's a UPS driver, you know,
right.
I mean, I just
Right.
want to be straight. I just want to be straight up. You can't
Hey,
just wait in your pajamas watching Netflix every single day and think, oh God, why you haven't brought my, you look at the different women in the Bible, they met their husbands out. Oh, where's my Boaz? Well, she was out in the field and he saw her. He recognized her. So I always say faith without deeds is dead. Please, sisters, do not just sit watching reruns or I'm sorry, that's a binging on Netflix, right? I just aged myself real quick, right? But binging on Netflix and thinking like, oh, okay, I'm sitting and I'm waiting in prayer. Are you? Are you? Because God is calling you to do. most of the words in the scriptures is action words, right? Everything is in the tense. I also want to speak to my brother Donovan, right?
Right.
Donovan, that's it.
Donovan, where you were like, is it done? Is it done? My soulmate was in high school. Am I done? And no, again, I go back to my whole that word soulmate is something that it can't just be one person that's supposed to be for you. Like it is your life partner where you I love what my sister said, Nick said, where you get knitted together. My husband and I are knitted. We are becoming one. We are healing those holes inside of us and becoming one. Where if you speak to one, you speak to the other, and we're jiving in that way, right? I mean, we met at 35. We met old, right? We were older when we met. There were many other men and many other women. And who knows if he had healed himself in a different way, he would have been with Joanna or Ladrine or whoever, right? He would have been, and I would have been with John or Steve or whoever. Who knows that? But right now, this is the man that God has placed in front of me because I was ready to receive his love and he was ready to receive my love. And that's how we got together. So, Donovan, you will find that woman. And remember, your calling is to find, right? It says, he who findeth a good wife, right?
Can I interject something real quick?
Yes.
Real quick. It's funny because all of my married buddies, right? A lot of them, they say, man, I envy you because you got all these women and all this stuff. But what I say to them, brother, I envy you because it's not to be. I'd rather be where you are and have me my one woman that I'm in love with, and I can speak highly of her and wave her flag around. It's not a happy life having multiple women, right? And especially since I'm the type of guy I'm not sleeping with them all, so it's it's a different thing, and it's not all that. It's not all like what people think. So I get what you.
What's not all what people think?
Because a lot of guys
No,
think
no,
it's
no.
all.
I'm asking for clarification. I missed it. Like, what do you? What is not all?
Dating multiple.
Well, when guys know I
Dating
have a
multiple
lot of
women.
female
Okay.
friends and I get along with a lot of women and women
Okay.
they usually come around me because I don't treat them like trash and I know how to treat them. I tell them, the only reason these women come around me because I don't hawk them and press them out like you do. I'm cool with them and they know they can be comfortable with me and I'm going to protect them. That's why they don't mind being around me because I'm not going to try to take them home and all that. We just grow together as friends,
Yeah, and that's a very good point that you make in terms of women. All First of all men are not alike and all women are not alike. It's just so I know, like, when people are categorizing, they're going off of their experiences or what they're going through at that given point, but each person is an individual person. Each person is made up of their experiences. We're some of our total experiences, and sometimes it can be our space that we're in right now. It can be our growth. It can be our maturity. A whole number of different things. But Myra, I really want you to close out. But one of the things that I wanted to touch upon is soulmate. We talk about soulmates, and people talk about their current relationship when they are in love and when everything is going good or they are attempting to work out. It appears to be the best thing since sliced bread. When you are in a good situation, you're going to feel like it's the best thing. When you're in a bad situation or when you're going through something in your life, you feel like that's the worst thing that you ever went through in your life. And I bring it to the point to say, our soul mate, as it is being designed or defined, again, I take it as your purpose, your purposes in life. You have different phases of your life, different reasons in your different seasons. And through everything, count it all joy. I think, like, the biblical aspect of it, of people being married and never separating regardless of whatever, I definitely don't feel like my God wants me to be in a situation where I'm not happy and I'm going through some things, and not from a spoiled or a selfish type of aspect, but you know that this situation is not right for you. It doesn't mean that at once upon a time you wasn't truly in love and getting those things that you define or that you look for or that you feel that should come from a soulmate. So again, I say, like, everything has its time, and whatever you in and it's good, you cherish that and you be with it. But when something happens, like Donovan said, his high school girl, she's gone away, is that the end? And Myra answered, no. That's my feeling in terms of no. That was the thing right there. You were not able to do that, but that doesn't mean that that was the end all and that was the be all. That it's not someone else out there that is for you that you can make it work with. And you holding the bag, you might be holding, like, I'm playing, Donovan. That's another discussion. But Myra, please close out and finish for real, because it is after 10 o'clock. And I just need you to bring it to a close. We will have a part 2 next month. We have a bonus Monday, and I'll readjust and do what I need to do to make that happen. So Myra, please close out quickly.
Really quickly, that was basically it, is to know that you have to understand that whether you're a man or a woman, you have to make sure you're healing yourself before you introduce a whole nother individual in your body, in your soul, in your partnership. And then I love the way you see how Major speaks of his wife, right? That is work that has been done in. Does he have bad days? I bet they do. Does he get upset and angry? Absolutely they do. However, the bottom line is that baseline, right? That baseline is solid. It's not going anywhere. You may have 1 or 2 days of fighting, but it's not going anywhere. Because why? He's elevated himself and she's elevated herself. The conversations that they're having are healthy. The interactions that they're having are whole and complete and filled. And this is what makes a relationship, right? And this is what makes. So be whole, be complete, be healthy, and you will attract the same. Period.
Period. With a T?
With a T. Period.
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 All right. So definitely thank you, Major Bandy. Thank you, Boogaloo and Chrissy. Thank you, Shantae, Tina, Katrina, Donovan, and also Tina Johnson. Thank y'all so much for y'all open and candid responses and questions. Myra, thank you so much. I missed you so much. Nice to hear your voice and nice to see your beautiful face. Neek had to run, but you all know Neek has been putting it down over the last, this is her 6th month. So she has been putting it down. She put her contact in the box. But what I'm going to do is we are picking back up on this women, men discussion. I was trying to wait for the studio to open back up. Widely, coronavirus is not being our friend. So we're not going to let coronavirus dictate our situation. We're going to bring this back in. So we're going to be looking to bring this in. So if you are interested in being in the Zoom room, please, by all means, send me an inbox. If you are not already a member of the Let's Do It Facebook group, please subscribe to that so that you can respond and also keep in touch with that. But send an inbox to me on Facebook, Ladrine Howard Peterson, as well as to the Facebook group. So next week, we will be having Sweatpants and Chill take over. We have a lot of experts who are going to be coming in and talking about the conference that's coming up. And as I mentioned, I will be hosting it. It's a virtual conference, and I have a ticket left. I will be doing a ticket giveaway. So if you're interested, have not already purchased your ticket, please make sure that you tune in. Upcoming in November, we will have our youth entrepreneurs kicking it off with young Keyshawn. You already know how he comes in and preaches up the word. We have 2 really special guests. One has made a national name for himself over coronavirus. So you may already know who that is, but I'm excited about that show. And several of people that I know, they know that I'm engaged and I follow with the youth. They have tapped me into some great things that the youth have been doing, and they have been starting businesses. We will be highlighting them, and it's going to be 2 separate shows. Just look out. So with our third anniversary for the show, just coming out second anniversary for the show. I'm mixed up. I think it's third. But anyway, we have a lot of different things. So look out for the different structures and the different way we're going to be playing around in the Zoom room. Thank you so much for this conversation. We will continue it next month as a part 2. So if you want to be a guest on it, Zakia dropped some nuggets in this box. Janice Bowles was on there with the question, and also Dr. Jennifer Jones-Bryan. So if you all want to be a part of it, make sure you are reaching me. So thank you so much. Everybody that's on the line, I can't even shout y'all out. Andre is always on there. Monica Roberts stepped in for a minute. Zakia, as I mentioned, Janice Bowles, and then we had a couple other people. I'm not even going to go back and start trying to read the names, but thank you so much. We got to get out of here. Almost 10:15 in overtime, so thank you all so much, and I will see you all next week.